And I have, like, I'll always have him to lean into, and I would never put pressure and stress on him in a personal way, but I know he's there if that happened. So I think it's a massive thing, but who you go into business with is another massive thing. And like, you've got to be completely different to each other. And even though we look the same and we seem the same, like, we are very different people.
What have you learnt from the bad people that you've hired, the ones that didn't work? In terms of, when I say that, I mean, what have you learned is a bad quality in someone to work with, to build a business with, to employ?
Stuck in old ways and not being open-minded to change. I think a lot of people are very restrictive when, especially if you bring in someone higher up from them, then some people will always like backfire against that, and that's a bad quality. And again, it's a human nature, and I understand it. And you can always try and like change the way they think about things, but if they're not willing to accept that change, especially when you're in a growing company, like there's some people, and Spenny always tells me this, there's some people that'll take you to 50 mil, and there's some people that'll take you to 250 mil, and there's some people take you to 1 billion, and it won't be the same people. And you've just got to accept that, and you got to do everything you can for them people at that time, however far they go with the brand.
I actually had a conversation with a founder the other day whose business I've just invested in, and it's the exact same conversation that nobody seems to talk about, because in both your case and mine, we both did the same thing. We hired a bunch of young people that were probably the ones that were willing to come and work for us, that were also the ones we could maybe manage.
Yeah. And
then the business grows. And the problem you have is the next set of talent you need to get you up to the next rung on the ladder, they need to come in above the people that were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
And the originals don't love that, because that kind of blocks their progression. Yeah. Just that's what they think.
That's what they think, but no, it's not true, is it? Because they can learn from them things and then they can step up. It just takes more time, or they'll get more knowledge out of it if that person does come in.
But egos get in the way.
Yeah, egos get in the way, and you know, like I said, some people they're not open-minded to that, and they also people get comfortable. They get comfortable in that position that they're in, and they don't want anyone to report into, and they don't want to do this and do that. But that's life, right?
What's next for you
this year?
Yeah,
start of the year, isn't it? I guess we're building out women's wear in the brand. We are opening 3 stores this year, which will be our first stores. We've not done a store yet. And it's something that we've wanted to do for so many years, but just finding the right places and being in the right space for it.
Why stores?
Because
people would think that's going against the way that the world's going. Everything's getting more digital.
Yeah. And I think that's a major advantage. Like, same thing happened in COVID. Everyone pulled away from their productions and stopped selling garments for a while, whereas we were like, okay, we will take everyone's production space and we'll start selling online. And then we made huge relationships with factories that we usually couldn't get in, and now we're like the best in them factories and doing everything the right way with them because we supported them during them times. But for the store aspect, it's like we have these communities all over the globe where people want to be a part of the brand, and they're showing up to run clubs, and we'll go and do one in Dubai, or we'll do one in LA. Like, I want somewhere for them guys to be able to come into the brand, them guys and girls to come into the brand and be able to smell it and feel it and touch it and have it way more professional than them just walking into a store and seeing it on a rail or seeing it on a shoe shelf. So it's about creating an area where the community can come in and feel more of the brand and who we are and what we do, and then hopefully roll that out globally. And then 247 has a lot of focus this year. Usually it's just like a couple people in the building that are doing it, and now we've got a full team working on that. We're trying to expand that. Hopefully I'd like to open some gyms with it. The concept for that is maybe next year, but not this year. And then I'm building another brand called Cadence, which is an electrolyte drink, high sodium, first ready to drink sodium in a can in the market. And that's something that I've been working on for the past 1.5 years with a guy called Ross out here. And that's because going back to 2019, 20, when I started getting into fitness and lifestyle and health, like electrolytes just became something that I was consistently taking, and I've not been sick one day since then. and I've never had my energy levels drop, and I've never had bad sleep, and I don't get headaches anymore. And it just seems like the salt that's in there is what is causing like this constant stream of energy, and it's supporting my workouts. And I love flavored drinks, so I thought, why can't I make my own version of that? And I tested it out with a collaboration we did earlier last year, and it seemed our customer really wanted it. So I was like, we'll build another brand and put it under that umbrella and see how it goes.
What is the goal here?
I think the goal is,
like, I mean, just generally, like with all of this stuff, like what's the goal?
I want Represent to be a lifestyle and not a brand. I want it to be unconventional. I want it to be more than just clothes. And I say that a lot recently, but I just want it to not just be about the clothes. I want the clothes to be a byproduct.
Why?
Why not? No one's really done that yet. Everyone talks about brand.
But I mean, what's the point? Like, you know, you got the drinks, you got the 247 range, you got the sort of original Represent range. What is the finish line here?
That's the good thing. I don't think there is one. I don't think there's a limit to what it can be, and what this thing that started off as 25 screen printed t-shirts can become over the next 100 years or so.
But do you not sit around with Michael and go, listen, we'll get to 2 billion, we'll sell it there, and we'll just get a couple of yachts?
No. Like, look at Ben Francis. He got valued at $1 billion. He's still in the business. It doesn't become about the money, right? It's not about the money. It's about what you're actually able to do, and do some things different, and like not be conventional, and try and just, I just want to do something that no one's done. You know, why not?
And I ask these questions, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate here, because I think some people think that this is all kind of like a means to an end. With entrepreneurship generally, it's like a means to an end.
Yeah.
But when I speak to entrepreneurs like you, it's so clear that it's much more about the journey. And the journey, it just seems like you probably want to die on the journey at some point.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking to like a lot of successful people and people that have been in it for a long time, right? You're not speaking to those guys that are walking around on the street saying, I'm going to build this and I'm going to sell it in 3 years for 6 billion, or this is my exit strategy, and they've just started. They never work. That never works for anybody. Like, that's a bullshit way of thinking. You're talking to the people that are really bought into their own fucking brand, and they're living it and they're loving it, and it's forever, I guess.
And it's a mission, isn't it?
That's their mission.
That's kind of the tagline that I associate to you, because you post that a lot.
Yeah.
Is it's a mission, and there's something different between a business and a mission. That's clearly what you've encapsulated. What are you good at? Are you good at business?
I'm good at understanding business. But when you say good at business, what do you mean?
I mean, you can define it yourself, but I guess what people typically think of as business is like operations, finance, processes.
No, I'm not. Not at all.
I think that's actually will be really wonderful news to a lot of people, because there's a lot of people out there that think you have to be
good at business to own a business.
Yeah.
No, I think it's about starting off and just figuring things out along the way, and putting people in place of them things that you're not good at that are way better than you at it. As soon as we started doing that, that's when the business took off.
George, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who they're going to be leaving it for. The question that's been left for you is, what is something in your life that you assume to be true, but you haven't yet deeply questioned?
It's quite funny because it's something that I'm really interested in, but like don't talk about it a lot. I guess whether like the aliens are amongst us.
Not what I was expecting you to say.
No, not at all. And it's completely different to what we've just talked about for the past however long, but that really like interests me. The fact that like there's all these different stories and conspiracies and things that are going on constantly, especially now more than ever. And I wonder if it would change the world if one of the governing bodies or whoever it was actually came out and said, yes, this is this. And these are with us. I think it's just amazing.
We're going into like the world of like simulations and AI and all that stuff now. So I saw that thing come out with ChatGPT the other day, Sora, where they can do text to video.
Yeah.
And that's when I saw the first reply to Sam Altman's tweet said, this is the technology that was used to create us. And it just wobbled my brain a little bit, because I thought, now we're getting to a point where we've got these Apple Vision Pro headsets and we're able to make video with text. And I'm looking at this woman in HD that's like 85 years old that was made by typing a couple of words, and you just assume any rate of improvement, and eventually you get to something that is indistinguishable from
the world.
Reality.
Yeah.
So
We might even be a video game.
I think there's, I've heard Elon talk about this, and he's like, he talks about it, he said so much that he's had to ban the conversation.
Right.
Because you fall into a little bit of a hole.
Yeah. You literally have no idea who we are, what we're doing, why we're here. And yeah, is there an alternate universe, or are we just living in someone else's head? I don't know. So interesting.
Thank you, George. Thank you for a number of reasons. Thank you for dressing me for the last 3 years, because I think your clothes are the best.
No, thank you.
And it's a very subjective thing, but in terms of quality and consideration, sometimes you can tell when someone has gone the extra mile on a piece of work.
Right.
Pretty much always. When they've thought about things from first principles, they've really thought about all the decisions, and that's what Represent has always been to me. A brand that always thinks about the decisions, and it's different in every way. As I said, from an end-to-end experience, it's different, and you can tell that the brand comes from somebody somewhere's heart.
Right.
And you can tell the difference again with brands where, you know, someone didn't really care about the process and they were maybe copying something else, and then there's this other brand called Represent, where it's clearly coming from someone somewhere's heart and their own unique vision. That's why I've always loved the brand. And that's why I think you've been able to cultivate this cult, because there's something in humans where they can tell the real from the not so real.
Yeah.
They can just feel it. We can feel it. And that's what Represent has always been. And that's why I'm always been so fascinated by you and your brother, and a huge supporter of both of you. And on like a human level, you're both fucking great guys.
I appreciate it.
And I say that behind your back all the time. I go, that guy's a great guy. He's just like a really nice, humble human being.
Cheers.
And on paper, you know, people might look and go, he has a lot of reasons not to be.
Yeah.
This guy looks like fucking something that was literally drawn on a piece of paper by an alien. Like, and he's got this incredible business, but he's a really good human being, and so is Michael. So thank you for the inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing, because the mission that you're on is inspiring many other people to start missions of their own.
Yeah.
I think that's something that the world needs a lot more of. So
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Loved it.